Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes, wrapping up the new Kaguya set. Brandon, what's our first card?
First up, we have Sprinting at the Sports Festival U. Three different abilities on this card. First one, if you have character with Miyuki in name, it gets another 1500 power and Encore. During your turn, it gets 10,000 power. And additionally, it has an act that you can rest this card if you don't have Miyuki on board to give one of your characters on reverse bottom deck. So ability to be able to either win board as kind of like a secondary lane against alongside the Miyuki, or remove things with Encore on field.
Yeah, this card's weird. The Miyuki condition, I think, is the thing that makes it weirdest. You have to sculpt your board in a very specific way to have access to both abilities. It's almost like you have to pick one or the other based on your game plan and then build your deck in a certain way to make that viable. This being 13-5, if you have a Miyuki on board, makes this like actually a pretty decent striker profile. I think that's the best way to play this because there's also other removal stuff in Kaguya. Next, 2/1 yellow event, Words of Parting. If you don't have a character, this can't be played. It goes to your memory. You choose a character. It gets two abilities, one of which is hexproof. The other is it makes it a Musashi. So when damage is canceled, mill 1, deal X equal to that card's level +1. This is interesting. I think this works really well with the Kaguya top end that already probably has 3 instances of damage. So you're basically making sure that you get yet another opportunity for damage on the Kaguya. You can potentially turn that burn 1 if it cancels into a bigger burn. There is also the back row card that allows you to play events without matching color, so the yellow doesn't matter. I don't know if this is going to get played, but it's at least playable.
I agree. Pairing it with the top end Kaguya definitely makes the most sense. I'd be curious to see if you have the resources to make that available, especially because it forces you to play yellow, which that deck normally doesn't want to play yellow to begin with. So next up, we also have Regrettable Failed Plan Kaguya. This is a 2 or less climax and waiting room early play. When placed on stage, you can remove one of your other characters on stage to look at top 3 cards of your deck, add one to hand, put one into stock, and put the other into waiting room. So you're able to effectively refund 1 stock of playing this card on stage, getting an additional card to hand, whether it potentially be an event or climax or even character. And it also then has Encore. A pretty solid early play, and ability to refund stock makes this a lot cheaper for sure.
Yeah, it's a 2 soul for 1 stock that replaces itself in your hand, potentially with a climax or an event that you may want. This is certainly playable, and with the level 1 package being in blue already, and the fact that Kaguya does play into events, so this can potentially add those events to your hand as well, I think makes this at least playable in like the pants package. I don't know if it will get played. Kaguya has a lot of early play options, but this is definitely at least a usable option. Next, Daring Present Kaguya. On attack, if you don't have another character in your back row, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a level 0, put it in your backstage. It also has an alarm effect. If it's the top card of your clock, you can give one of your other characters on reverse bottom deck. I could see this as a one of tech as a way to try to remove things. It's also not a card that I would hate to see in my hand early in the game because you can potentially spawn out cards for free.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fine card. Having that alarm ability, I think, makes it interesting. You can stack that ability with different characters, especially towards the end game where you're trying to get reverses anyway. Could potentially bottom deck characters to then burn those cards into your opponent's clock. Last up, we have Happy New Year Kaguya. This is a level assist, as well as when you play an event for the first time, you can draw 1, ditch 1. And when you trigger a pants, you can then also draw 1, ditch 1. Pairing this alongside the Brainstorm that also has the draw 1, ditch 1 on event play for the first one, you have quite a few cards you can go through in your deck. So essentially it kind of turns your 4-card torch event into essentially a 6-card hand filter. You definitely have a lot of mill potential with this card in play.
Yeah, I love back row modular tech, and that's exactly what this is. It does a lot of different things for you. It makes those level 1 Kaguyas 7,000 power on defense when you use the torch event, so it makes them harder to remove, makes it that much easier to loot pants. It also lets you get rid of climaxes if you're already flooded, so if you trigger, you can then turn it into something else that's more useful. This is a PR, so if you have a Kaguya playset, this is not in it. You'll have to get this out of the PR pack or pick it up on the secondary market. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on Tuesday. Brandon will have Weiss 102. We will have 5 cards, 5 minutes for the power-up sets next week, and then another clock talk the following Tuesday. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you